How's it going, guys? We got some stuff to talk about today. How you guys doing? So, it looks like they're going to have an open convention, which could go crazy. So, we'll see if anybody else jumps in. It's looking like Kamala Harris has kind of got it in the bag, but who knows with all the other people who could just show up. It should be crazy if the convention does go nuts. Hard to say if anybody else is going to jump in or not. I'm doing great. How you guys doing? Joe. Hey, how's it going?
No, it's going great. I'm seeing you with your cool hat.
It's gonna be a crazy thing. I haven't seen any Democrats come out against Kamala Harris yet, so I'm curious as if she's gonna end up with the nomination without even a fight.
To running this late. The mail-in ballots go out in like 4 weeks or 8 weeks, so she really only has like an 8-week campaign before the voting starts.
Yeah,
And it's a I don't think it's an enviable position.
yeah. I don't. That's why I don't think like Newsom or anybody's gonna jump in because I mean they don't want to. I mean, if they run, they want to be able to raise money the whole time and do all the campaigning and all that. Where this is gonna be like a rushed, basically a rushed election. Well, for American
Develop
elections, the rest of the world seems to be able to do it in a month.
develop yourself as a political character that quickly. You know what I mean? Like, she just started announcing some policies that she's going to try to push, but, how much time does she have to define herself?
Right? Yeah, she needs to come out and call for a ceasefire in Gaza right away. And after that, like, I mean, unless some other Democrat jumps in, I was looking at what Newsom said. He put out a tweet basically endorsing Kamala Harris. And if he's not jumping in the race, I mean, who else is going to come out against her?
Sort of Republican red herring candidate, like they try to get Kristen Sinema to run against her or Joe Manchin or something. I mean, Manchin won't do it.
No, Manchin won't do it. I mean, he might try, but he would just lose. And I think Sinema would lose too. So, like, unless a big Democrat name jumps in, I don't see anybody taking it from Kamala.
There's an article in The Hill pleading with Hillary to jump in.
Oh my God. That would be the worst idea ever. I've also seen people saying that she should be her VP, and that's just a nightmare scenario. Like, if you want to lose, put Hillary Clinton anywhere near the ticket.
So it's
Like,
true. Like, it's just an anti-Trump ticket. That's her entire platform.
yeah. Yeah, if Michelle Obama showed up to be her VP, on the other hand, that would change some things.
I always worry that the average American needs a white man. I was telling you this earlier. I feel like, we tend to be pretty left, and so we accept the idea of a, two-woman ticket, but I feel like the average American needs to see a white man.
Yeah. I really would like to see Bashir from Kentucky take be her VP because I think that would help solidify that angle. Or the guy from Pennsylvania. I can't think of his name right now.
political career, do
Job
you want to
Shapiro,
be a
that's
part
right.
of a potentially failed presidential run like this one? I mean, it's already such a disaster.
Oh yeah, but I mean, the sad thing is Americans like drama. So I mean, the DNC convention could be the most watched convention ever.
She didn't come out immediately with a list of platforms. Like, I'm surprised she didn't have something to roll out like the moment this happened.
Well, she has to roll with what Joe Biden's put out already, but she really needs to come out and define herself separate from Biden.
Her, like, I've been looking all day, and it's just speculation on how Kamala Harris's platform could differ from Joe Biden's. But there's
Yeah.
no, she should have been ready for this, more ready than she seems to have been.
If she really wants to win, she ought to come out and announce Medicare for all as top of her platform.
Dramatic liberal policy would make a huge difference. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I mean, maybe she'll wait till tomorrow. Maybe this is her giving him the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To like,
Before she comes out and goes, "This is what I'm going to do better than Biden."
hey, you know,
Which I mean, I guess I understand that, but the first thing I was checking was Twitter to see if there was any like prominent Dems who were, you know, throwing their hat in the ring, and everything I'm seeing from like the prominent candidates are all backing her already.
if because this is pain. She's been, it's a meaningful campaign, and people don't want to wait with something like
Yeah. I mean, if she's really smart, she'd just come out with a bunch of leftist policies. Call for a ceasefire, call for Medicare for all. I mean, if she wants to go real far left, call for a UBI.
universal healthcare, housing, inflation. They are hot topics, and the best way for her to define herself would be to embrace a big leftist policy. But she's going to be everyone's going to be looking like how close on the spectrum to Bernie will she be? Because he's a pole. You know what I mean? He's like one end of the spectrum.
I know. Too bad she won't pick him as her VP, but he's too old. But I mean, man, you gain the left. Say Warren? That would be interesting. I don't know if she'd go with Warren or
She's
not. A lot of people don't think she's going to get nominated, but like, unless some other Dem jumps in the race, I don't see how she doesn't. I haven't even seen anybody like say they were going to run against her. Of course, they might be giving it a couple of days, but they all seem to have already basically endorsed Kamala Harris. So to like come out against her now is like, it's just kind of like making yourself a hypocrite.
anyone's game. Yeah, Gavin Newsom would be awesome, but he wants to have a full run. He's not gonna.
No, he's not going to jump in at the end like this because it's better to not run than to run and lose, is what he's thinking, I'm sure. But, and like I said, I also think that they all know that stepping over Kamala would be like, it's just kind of bad optics when Biden just endorsed her.
Like you said, she's raised 50 million in 5 hours, but like, will she be able to carry it? Like,
Yeah, I wish Jon Stewart would come out and say he's running for the nomination. He'd take it. I mean, but he won't show up. He doesn't want the job, sadly.
they're not going to get the actual policies through that they want to. I mean, Jon Stewart had to like break his back to force Congress to do, that bill for the veterans, and it has to go through the legislature. And I think he knows, well, that's not going to happen.
Well, and Kamala, like, they raised $50 million today already. That's all straight to the Biden campaign, right? So it has to be her. I mean, they can't send that 50 million anywhere else, and they were already had 100 million. So I mean, there's 150 million dollars basically that you're gonna give up if you pick anybody else. I just think that's a terrible plan. The real question is, who's her VP gonna be?
RFK fits in the Liberal Party. You know, but his positions make.
Yeah, I don't think RFK Jr. would take her VP spot. That would be funny though.
President of the candidacy of the Democrats.
Right? Oh, you think he's gonna jump in and ask for the nomination?
Thought about that, and I was just saying I don't think so.
I mean, I guess he could, but I don't think he'd get it. His own family's come out against him. And the big donors, I think, are holding back right now, waiting to see who to throw their money behind.
In a call on Friday, which was so unnecessary. They basically had one person get on the phone and say, like, you need to get on the bus, you need to stop complaining. And then Kamala played the good cop and came on and was kinder. But, like, I don't know why they kept this facade going all the way up until today.
Yeah, I thought they were going to wait till after Wednesday when Netanyahu's supposed to talk to Congress or whatever. I would love to see, somebody just said in the comments, Katie Porter as VP. I would love to see Katie Porter there. Could you imagine her with her whiteboard against fucking JD Vance in a VP debate? I would pay money to see that.
Of Irvine, California is just crazy, and I loved watching her rip apart the sea.
Yeah, it's really sad she's not going to be the senator of California. They split the progressive vote. I'd like to see Katie Porter at the top of the ticket, but yeah, that's not going to happen either.
Kamala won't be the
I think
candidate.
two women versus Trump and Vance would actually do good. Something you just said, I agree with that. Like, but there is that percentage of the population that's just misogynistic. But I mean, they're probably not going to vote for one woman at the top of the ticket, so two probably wouldn't matter. It will be very interesting. But if they do a brokered convention, we're going to need. I mean, the other Dems got to jump in the race by tomorrow, right? There's no.
Change all the way up until the convention. So you could jump in at the beginning of the convention.
I feel like you gotta, if you're gonna get your name out there, though, you got to do it before.
And candidates usually pick a presumptive vice president until they're certain they're going to win. So I mean, Kamala may have to wait.
Maybe that would be weird. I wonder if they'll pick the VP at the convention.
They tease it out. It'll depend because, like, so right now, everyone 538, all the other groups are going to do a spate of polling this week, right? To see
Oh yeah.
exactly how the two compare. And after that polling, we'll get a much better picture of and Kamala's first week as the presumptive nominee. We'll get a much better picture of her chances. But I mean, currently she's not, doing great in polling against Trump.
Yeah, but she's still doing better than Biden, which not that that's hard. But I'd really like it if Michelle Obama showed up because I think she would just walk away with it. But she said so many times she doesn't want anything to do with it. I think all the people I want to show up don't want anything to do with politics. That's probably why I want them to show up.
Too, but he's
If
not going to
Jon
run this
Stewart
time.
showed up to the convention was just like nominate me, I'm pretty sure he would get the nomination because he would win so hard. Like he would probably win all 50 states.
Bernie Sanders. The electors are not, good normal people who are going to select the best candidate.
No,
They're like that's not how
no,
it's going to go down.
they're DNC insiders with money and backing. Like, yeah, and they were all pledged to Biden, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go straight with Kamala. But I feel like if they go with anybody else, they're just slapping Biden in the face. I love Bernie Sanders, but he's too old. Like you can't replace Biden for being too old and then put in someone older. That's just a bad idea,
Sure. I wish Bernie. Like obviously, I supported him in 2016, but
right? Yeah, I was for Bernie in 2016, and well, actually, I was for Andrew Yang in 2020 until he dropped out and endorsed Biden, and then I wanted to slap him in the face. Like how he endorsed Biden instead of Bernie. I just want to like, it's just I don't understand. Harris asked Taylor Swift. Yeah, let's put Swift on the ballot. That's kind of hilarious, but it would win.
speak more about politics. Like as a woman, given abortion's been taken away and all of that, I'm surprised she doesn't use her ridiculously powerful position in this country to garner more votes for the pro women's rights party.
Oh yeah, like I'm hoping she shows up to the convention. There's rumors she might show up to the DNC convention. If she does, that's going to be like the biggest. Like there'll be 100 million people who watch it.
That the Republican National Convention had 5 million less viewers than the last one.
Yeah, yeah. The viewership was down 45%. If that's not freaking out the Republicans, I don't know. And I keep seeing people like, well, that's not counting the YouTubes and all this other stuff. I'm like, yeah, but we're talking about Republicans. They're mostly old people. Like, they watch TV.
Even with an assassination, it didn't boost Trump's viewership. Like, that
No,
says something. You know what I mean?
no. Like that's one of those things that I was funny. Was like even I was like expecting that to give him at least like a 5 to 10 point bump, and no, no, like he didn't even really get a 1 point bump. Like it's crazy. But did you see that they found out that he didn't actually get shot in the ear? It was glass from the teleprompter that hit his ear.
That
Yeah,
kid just.
it was all like it was just the glass from the bullet hitting the teleprompter that hit his ear, and he acted like it was a gunshot. And I was like, that makes way more sense because there's no way an AR-15 round goes through your ear and you have an ear left. I mean, the bullet for that's like the size of the tip of my pinky. Like I've fired many of them, and there's no way that bullet touches a part of your body and you're not in the hospital like for days. I don't care what part of your body it touches. I mean, you're talking about like it's a massive round. Just the air pressure it's pushing would have made him deaf. You know what I mean?
Turned and then he didn't go down. He purposefully, knelt. Like,
Yeah. And then lost his shoes somehow. And I think that kind of just makes him look like kind of, weaker. Like you went down because a piece of glass hit your ear, not because you were shot. Because a little piece of glass hit your ear. Uh, I'm not impressed.
it's gotten so bad.
It's like it's not even I kind of wonder if the kid was like trying to help Trump because it's really weird. Like you got a scope and you're only 150 yards off and you miss, and this kid's supposedly trained with a rifle. I'm sorry, at 150 yards. I mean, I'm not the greatest shot in the world, but 150 yards with an accurate rifle, like that's just ridiculous. Like,
Establish no motivation.
right? No motive. And what's really weird to me is no social media presence. Who's in their 20s and has no Facebook, no Twitter, no nothing? How is that even possible? Like, I don't even understand how that's possible. How are you 20 years old and don't have any social media? Like that's just so crazy to me. It's like they found the one kid in America who doesn't use the internet. Like it's wild.
be like Reagan's assassination attempt where it's super weird. So like the guy who tried to kill Reagan did it in order to impress Jodie Foster.
Yeah, that's so wild. Like, it'd be crazy if you found out something like that. Like, this guy had a crush on, like, some celebrity that Trump made fun of, and that's the only reason he did it.
Surreal times.
Oh, we are into full on. Like, somebody said, well, the season of America just got a lot more interesting.
Last 4 years at least, 8 years, we have been testing the plausibility of reality. Like, how plausible is reality really at this point? Like,
Right? Yeah, like if you had told me 10 years ago that this year would have even exist, I would have been like, nah, that can never happen. Like everything in the last 5 years, you've been like, nah, none of that can happen.
would be the nominee in
Oh,
2016, you would have laughed. You
right.
like that's how quickly things changed.
Yeah, it's crazy. And another thing is like I said, I live in North Carolina, and last election, like 2020, every day I would walk outside at work, and half the cars in the parking lot would have Trump flags and Trump stickers on them, and that's just gone now. Like they're just there. I see one every now and then, but I don't see his massive support anymore. I don't see the red hats everywhere. And I mean, if you watch his rallies, if when they pan the crowds are less than half what they were in 2020. So I don't think he really has all this support. I honestly think that the polls are just lying to people at this point to try to keep the race looking close.
Searched the venues he chose, and the venues he chose are free, and he still owes millions of dollars to the old venues he used to attend, but none of them will have him anymore because he just doesn't pay. Like,
Oh, I actually, what somebody in the comments said, Roy Cooper, our governor. I would love it if Kamala would pick him as VP because Roy Cooper is loved in this state, and I mean by Democrats and Republicans. Like people like the guy. He's done a really good job as our governor, really, and he's up this term. He can't run again, so we're probably gonna have Josh Steiner, the psychopath, and if the Republican wins the governor of this state, I'm moving. Like I won't be here before he takes office. That guy's nuts. But Roy Cooper, I really think would bring a lot to the ticket because he's been a governor of a swing state, but I mean we're pretty red when you look at our state gerrymandering and everything. And he's a good dude. Like everybody, and he would definitely it would definitely make her carry North Carolina for sure.
true. Trump didn't have the big photo op of visiting the injured person or the dead people's family. That was such a gimme. Like,
Yeah, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care about even his own followers at all, enough to even pretend. That's the craziest thing. It's like you're right. That was such a gimme to like go meet the family and be like, I'm really sorry that that happened. Just like you said, it's a gimme. Like, yeah, it's crazy to me that they haven't actually done that.
visit that person, they would have gotten a great photo op. He could have gone to the family that lost the person or gone to the funeral, sat solemnly, but he didn't.
No, I mean we're talking about a guy who didn't want to go to the veterans thing because it was raining and it would ruin his hair. The guy's a piece of crap. Like, I mean, he just is. Like, I don't understand how anyone is supporting Donald Trump. Like, he's such a piece of crap all the way across the board. Like, he's just a terrible person. Like, I don't know. It's wild, but I
Completely
really don't think.
self-centered.
Yeah, I just don't think he has the support that the polling even shows. I think Donald Trump's going to lose in a landslide. I really do. Like, like I said, I don't see the flags anymore. I don't see the Trump hats. I don't see any of that. And I talk to people like I'm one of those annoying people who talks to every store clerk. Like I try to never be in a hurry.
God.
I'll sit in a gas station and talk to the clerk for 20 minutes. I don't care. Because I like to get a vibe of like people. And I'm a firm believer that we all live in these little social media bubbles. And if you don't get out of those and talk to actual people, you'll like the thing that got me is like when I in 2020, I was such a supporter of Andrew Yang. I was in the Yang gang, and like if you read Twitter, you'd think he was gonna walk away with the nomination. Dude, like controlled the left on Twitter, and then when he went to actual vote, he got like 3% of the vote, and I was like, wow, my Twitter is lying to me. And after that, I was like, I need to like start talking to people. So now, like I said, I'll go to the gas station down my street. And it's funny because one of the clerks there is a hardcore Trumper, and the rest of them are basically your I don't pay attention to politics people, you know? And everybody but the Trumper is voting blue no matter who they put up. And the main reason is because of the Trumper they work with.
Alcoholics Anonymous meetings more often. There were so many Trumpers there. It was bizarre, and it was always blue collar guys. And I tried to point out to them that Trump raised taxes. Taxes will rise 4 times over the next 8 years or so for people who make less than 75,000 a year. And I was like, you guys realize he specifically raised your taxes, right? And they at first they disagreed, but I had the like PDF ready. I had the whole thing because I wanted to see if they were capable of changing their minds based purely on direct monetary interest, right? Like, here you go. You're going to be paying more money because of what this guy did. And even when I showed them the bill, they refused to believe that it was real. They thought a lot of Trumpers believe he's got some sort of secret game going on behind the scenes. Have you ever heard that position?
Oh, yeah, it's the conspiracy minded thing. There's the same people like who will tell you that he's still the president. Like it's insane. Like, and don't get me wrong, the funny thing is like I used to be a pretty hardcore conspiracy theorist, believe it or not. Like, I mean, I never believed in the flat earthers, but like there's a lot of U.S. history that is pretty conspiratorial. You know what I mean? So the idea that like, like I was one of the 9/11 was an inside job people. That's how crazy I was back in the day. And I still say there's part of that we don't understand what happened. But part of the conspiracy mind is that you think you're special. You think you know something that the rest of the world doesn't know. Like you're in on the big secret and everybody else is just dumb because they're not in on the secret. It's why these people never trust experts. Like an expert will tell them something and they'll be like, I know better than that. The expert's wrong. And it's like, this person spends their entire life studying this thing and you don't want to believe in that thing because it doesn't fit your worldview. But it's like, I tend to believe that someone who spends their entire life studying something probably knows more about it than I do. Just by the math,
Well, I mean, the one reason why I struggle with certain expertise is because of organizations like the Heritage Foundation and the Cato Institute. So, like, I do know that, like, yes, the Republicans did go out and create a large number of think tanks around, around the 1970s in order to argue for and support the positions they were taking. And so, it's tough, but
that's not much of a conspiracy. They do that out in the open.
For the Republican Party and on and off from 2000 until 2012. And even I was like, this 9/11 thing is a certain amount of conspiratorial thinking that I think is like required. Every 20 years, the CIA admits that they overturned all these governments that we were accusing them of overturning.
Oh, yeah. Well, just when you find out that the entire purpose of the CIA was to destabilize communist governments. Like, that's the whole reason we created it. And then it's like, oh, huh. Or like when they talk about how the USSR was such a dictatorship, but then the CIA did a study about how if you were to unalive Stalin, it wouldn't change anything because he was not a top-down dictator. There was like 50 people ready to replace him. That's why they never tried.
Stories that say like you can't wear a white shirt in North Korea, right? Like all of these crazy ideas, as though there's this giant state apparatus in North Korea that's enforcing this stuff. And then you find out actually there's all of these Radio Free Asia and other sources that they cite, and guess who pays for them?
Right? Then guess who pays for all of them? The Radio Free Asia is insane. Like they might as well call themselves CIA Asia. It's the only reason they even exist at all. All of their funding comes from the CIA.
A lot of the news that we are given is actually really well constructed propaganda.
Oh yeah. Well, and
Do
it's like
not
I
become
tell
a conspiracy
people,
theorist.
right? And it's like I tell everybody, that I'm a propagandist. The best propaganda is true. That's what I try to convince people of. It's like all the best propaganda is true. It's not what they lie to your face. They just only tell you the parts they want you to think about, and they ignore the rest of it. Like they talk about how Stalin was, did a lot of horrible stuff, and that is true. But they don't talk about the fact that the average person in the USSR had their quality of life increase at a faster rate than anywhere else in the history of the world. They went from feudal farmers to challenging and rivaling the United States of America in less than a century. That's insane.
It's so apparent that like we were the aggressor in the Cold War.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a whole ball of wax. It's the same thing with China right now. Like they're talking about how China's going to do this and do that, but when was the last time China invaded another country? I I mean, really, like they don't. They're not like expansionist. That's something we are. Like the only reason that Taiwan exists is because of our backing. Otherwise, the Chinese would have taken it back into their country decades ago.
Millennials jam. I love this weird Gen X rise up thing. This guy just said it as though we were Gen X.
Yeah, well, I'm like right on the border of Gen X. So are you. Like, we're. I mean, it's hard to say that I'm a millennial because like we're at the very beginning of millennial. But I mean, I still drank from a water hose and I did all the Gen X stuff. You know what I mean? Like all the stuff that Gen Xers call like their childhood. Like that was my childhood. We shot each other with BB guns. We had Roman candle wars. Built forts in the woods.
Protective parent that millennials typically experienced. But yeah, we were on the cusp, even though we're born in the same year.
Yes. And I mean, I grew up dirt fucking poor, so like, I had government cheese. You know what I mean? Like I remembered the government cheese. It just came in a big block, said cheese on the side of it. No nutrition facts, nothing. Just cheese. They give out cans of peanut butter too that just said peanut butter.
Favorite piece. It was a CIA admission, obviously 20 years later, where they said their biggest fear was a small country becoming communist.
Yeah, because it would
Because
probably
communism
work.
would work. Yeah.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be able to financially cripple them. I mean, that's why they were so upset about Cuba. That it was so close that they could like, Americans might actually travel there and find out, oh wow, these people are living good. They had to stop that from happening.
for lung cancer.
Yeah, Cuba's cured lung cancer. Did you see China cured type 2 diabetes the other day? Completely cured it. Like, you go in for like 3 treatments of stem cells and then you're good. No more type 2 diabetes. And you better believe the first thing the FDA did was go, well, we can't let that here. We got to make sure our people stay diabetic.
Question about someone using your video.
People use my videos all the time. It's
Rise
I
of people
don't
using your video.
I don't care. Like, if they want to copy my video, do whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, one person asked me if they could upload my videos to Instagram. I was like, I don't care. Go for it. Like, the one that bothers me is I've seen people using my face on their profile and then, like, trying to ask people for money through Telegram and crap like that. And I've tried reporting these people, and TikTok doesn't care. Like, TikTok just doesn't care. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do about that. But everybody, I will never ask you for money. I don't have any alternate accounts. I don't have any private accounts. I'm never going to ask anybody for money. Like, like, that crap kills me because there's like people like trying to get them to contact them on Telegram or WhatsApp. And I ain't got a Telegram or a WhatsApp. So, yeah, that one bothers me. But people just like uploading my videos, I don't care. Cut them up, upload them however you want. I'm more about getting the word out than I am trying to, make money on it.
Cool little
Yeah.
network of leftists that are linked together on TikTok, and I enjoy
Yeah,
that we have like a little community here.
yeah, that's why I'm trying to. I've started uploading more to YouTube just in case TikTok gets taken away, but my videos don't do as well on YouTube. I think the format's just so much different. Like, I need to like film videos for YouTube.
Well, U.S. government over the ban. It's going to be really interesting because it's supposed to take effect in November.
Yeah, I'm curious. There's all those lawsuits going through. My name on YouTube's the same. It's just Atheistic Deist. And I have a Patreon, but I've never actually like talked about it. I just made one day and then like never mentioned it. I just feel weird asking for people for money, even though like I'd like this to be my permanent job. I just the idea of asking people for money just bothers me.
Time to help inform people, and you're spending a lot of effort on it. I think it's appropriate. Like Rathbone does that. A lot of great sources that disseminate alternate points of view in this country. There really isn't.
Yeah, there's really not. Well, and people get so caught up in will what I say harm my guy? Like, I get so many comments like, well, what you're saying is going to hurt the Democrats. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to like gaslight people and tell them that I think Biden's fine when everyone can tell his brain is fried. You know, like, that kind of crap just bothers me. Like, just be honest with people. Like, Joe Biden's brain's fried. Donald Trump's brain is fried too. Like, the fact that people can't see Donald Trump's cognitive decline blows me away. Just because he's louder, like if you listen to one of his speeches, it sounds like a drunk toddler.
To express my belief that we should be trying to change the entire system. And if there's never been more evidence of that than watching two geriatric old people who seem to be completely out of touch with reality be the only two contenders for the most powerful job in this country, I don't know what else could prove it. Like,
Right?
this system doesn't work.
At all. Well, that's one of the things I think is funny is when people say communism works on paper, but it doesn't work in practice. I'm like, capitalism doesn't even work on paper. Like, the math doesn't even work on paper. But really, I think we need a whole new system because communism, socialism, all capitalism, they're all designed on perpetual growth. They're all designed on the idea that the number of people will keep increasing. And that's just not where we're at anymore. The number of people is going to start going down dramatically. Like they're estimating that China will have less than a half a billion people by 2050.
Just really things. So, like, I majored in political science in college, and political science does not have a lot of good uh, quantitatively proven beliefs. Okay, like it just doesn't. It's not very amenable to that sort of analysis. But they do know that states that end up with an overabundance of men relative to women really go to war. Like they tend to go to war quite often. And China is entering that sort of state because all of they aborted so many of their daughters and just tried to keep their
Mm-hmm.
sons. And that to me is actually frightening because that almost always leads to war. And I don't know how they're going to deal with that.
Well, the other thing is they can't afford. China's economy is going to collapse. Like it's coming, and that's why Biden did the Chips Act and all that. Like people act like he's doing that to help the Americans, but the fact of the matter is, everybody sees the writing on the wall in China, and they need to start pulling the factories and stuff out now because there just won't be the population there to work those factories in 20 years. There just won't be. The people will not exist. Like they said that by 2035, over half of China's population will be over the age of 50. That's just not sustainable.
With their real estate too, they have entire ghost cities that were built on financing from lower class people that are completely uninhabited at this point. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, they said that
too, like
China has enough housing to house 3 billion people. And they don't have anywhere near that many people. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but we're kind of on the same boat. Like, especially if Trump wins somehow and they end up doing that mass deportation thing. It's like, what do you think will happen if they deport 11 million people, like, that are currently working and providing labor? Like, what do you think happens to those jobs? uh,
to monitoring this bizarre aspect of debt. And the way to look at our economy is, real estate gets hit first. Real estate, because it's the biggest item that Americans purchase. It's the most expensive item. And so they say, like, as real estate goes, so goes the country. But the last item on this chain is stuff like chips. Go the ability when the interest rates rose, the ability to sell homes just collapsed. And like right now, I live in Vegas. There are 4,000 homes that have been on the market for like nearly a year that just haven't moved. Okay. But in addition to that, it was just reported car sales have collapsed because they're obviously the next item, right? The second biggest
mhm.
purchase. But now Pepsi and the producers of chips and small things like cereal, they're reporting a decline in sales because of this greedflation that they have been perpetrating ever since. There was never any inflation. Inflation is supposed to be caused by workers making a lot of money and crowding each other out. But there was never
Yeah.
any wage gains. Like it's crazy to me. And the thing is that when this hits, like in June, we saw the first bit of deflation, a 0.1% decline. And we laid off 797,000 workers last year, and we've already laid off about 200,000 this year. And so, as when consumption falls, this is why I don't care if Trump wins, because I know that we are going to have the biggest economic event of our lifetimes within the next 4 years. And if he gets blamed for all of it, that's going to be great.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be wild, wild. But I just don't think Trump's going to win.
But you're right. His actual base is very small. Like it's a bunch of strange people and watching Hulk Hogan do his thing, right? Like
Right? That was insane. I can't. That was such a scene straight out of the movie Idiocracy. Like, you couldn't have written it better. And the fact that people are taking that serious is just insane to me. Like, I mean, Hulk Hogan's a racist piece of crap anyway. I don't understand like why anybody follows that guy.
brought up how when he tried to unionize the workers in the WWE, it was Hulk Hogan who ratted him out.
Hmm. Yeah, he's another piece of crap. I'm really hoping Kamala wins, but like who her VP pick is going to be major. Like if they don't pick the right person.
Eight. I mean, I don't know how this works because by this time, normally in an election cycle, we have a presumptive nominee, and that's when a VP is picked. Um, now, um, I mean, this has never happened before, obviously, so it's another terrible new thing in American democracy.
Yeah, yeah. Everything's like I keep seeing people say like I'm tired of historical events. Can we just not have any more historical events for a while? Like can we just kick it and just go back to things being normal for just a little while?
Asked him to admit that he
To admit what? Sorry, you cut out.
caused Biden to go, maybe I should stop running.
It had to have been his family. I, that had to have been what it was. Like, or it was the donor money drying up because the donors straight said they were taking money from all of the Democrats. They weren't going to send a dollar to any of the congressional people or nothing unless he dropped out.
Going on though, they'd already frozen the assets that have been committed and pledged. I wonder if I know it will be revealed later, right? In like 10 years or something. People, Kamala got the cabinet together and they had a majority that capable of removing him or something.
That's possible too, but I feel like that would have leaked already. The White House has been leaking like a sieve. Like everything they've been doing has been coming out. Of course, that could be just because they've been trying to get Biden out. So, you know, if
Questions
she
for
picks
Harry.
Hillary Clinton as her VP, they just gave the election to Trump. There's no way.
Nominate Mitt Romney as her VP.
Oh my god, that would be terrible. They probably win though. But I don't know. I don't think they're gonna go with Republican. If they were, they would probably go with Liz Cheney or something. But I mean, her politics are the same as Trump's. That's the. It's like Romney. Like he voted with Trump 90% of the time. So, do what?
Going to do as VP. He's going to be neutered. If he was taken as VP, all of his credibility and capital would go with it, but he wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know who I'd be happy with Roy Cooper as her VP, Bashir from Kentucky, or the guy from Pennsylvania would be a good pick. People really like Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan too, but like you said, having two women at the top of the ticket might be kind of scary for some of the normies out there.
Because she's in a semi battleground state.
Yeah, Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania would make a great VP, just because then you get Pennsylvania for sure. I feel like you have to pick somebody from a battleground state, or the guy from Kentucky, Jill Stein as VP. That would be hilarious. There's no way she would go with that, but I would be for that.
People who are further to the left who are just waiting for some sort of nod like that. And one of the things that would be interesting about picking Jill Stein is, again, there's no risk Kamala is going to have a heart attack. You know what I mean?
Right?
And the vice president has no real power. She gets to cast a vote if the Senate hits a deadlock, right? That's her only real power. You know, if the Senate is 50-50, the vice president votes in the Senate. That's it.
True.
And so
If,
Jill
and
Stein
hopefully
would
the
be
Senate
great.
won't be 55. Yeah, Jill Stein would make a great VP. That would be very smart, actually, but I don't think she'll pick her. I could see Whitmer being put on the ticket though, just to get Michigan. She's got a really high approval rating in Michigan. Schiff won't
A
take it.
good
He's
one.
trying to be Senate of California, and he's already won that primary, so he's not going to drop out of that to be vice president. I don't know a lot about Pritzker from Illinois. Do you know anything about him?
Always seen as this incredibly corrupt sort of political machine. Um,
So like Newsom. As far as I know, I got a question though. So you can't have a president and a vice president from the same state. But since Kamala Harris has lived in D.C. the last 3 years, does she still count as a California resident?
pull it off. That you can change your state of residency easily. It's not hard.
Right. And I don't know like what the numbers of it is, but as long as she was not technically a resident of California for the last couple of years, then they should be able to pick somebody from California.
Political capital outside of Gavin Newsom, and I don't think he wants to be a part of this. Uh,
Katie Porter, she ain't got nothing else to do now.
enough support though. I mean, she's amazing. Obviously, I love Katie Porter.
No, I think she does because I've seen a lot of Republicans and stuff who like Katie Porter because they all remember the whiteboard scenes when she goes after corporations. And the average Republican voter doesn't like corporations any more than we do. They're just not that bright, so they vote for the corporate people on the right. But like most your average Americans don't like big corporations. Yeah, the oligarchs hate Katie Porter, which is why she'd make a great VP.
Change over the last 10 years has been Republicans openly saying they hate corporations.
Yeah, everybody says it now. It's like running against corporations is your number one thing to run on. I could see Cory Booker being her VP. That'd probably be a pretty good safe bet. I've also seen people suggest Beto O'Rourke, but I think that's just a bad idea because once he said that thing, I was like, I damn right I'm going to come take your guns. That was the end of his chances at winning on a national level. Yeah, Beto kind of screwed himself when he said that just because you're not going to be able to do much. But Hakeem Jeffries won't take it. He's trying to be Speaker of the House, and there's more power in Speaker of the House than there is in the President. Like, that's why Nancy Pelosi never ran for president, because there's so much more power in being the Speaker.
Information she got there shamelessly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. If I was Speaker of the House, I'd never run for president either. You control what bills get brought up for a vote. That's way more power than the president has. That's why Medicare for All has never come up for a vote. I've seen a lot of people talk about Pete Buttigieg being her VP. I don't know if America's ready for that yet, but I mean, he's a very articulate, smart dude. If we get Jon Stewart at the top of the ticket, we'd all win. I do think if she picked Gavin Newsom as her VP, it would help her a lot because he would just mop the floor with JD Vance in the debate.
Front.
Hmm? Yeah, but
Concerned that
Jon
the
Stewart actually
Republicans
cares.
Republicans are going to sue over the late entry into the race.
Yeah. but they won't win, I wouldn't think. Like that would be it would be an insane thing for the Supreme Court to decide that you couldn't do that, because then that would mean that like if Trump had a heart attack, they wouldn't be able to replace him. That doesn't make any sense. I just don't think they're going to do that.
How desperate the Republicans become now, because they had one platform which was obvious, and it was that Biden is too old and Trump still seems to have vigor, right? Well, now
Right.
that's gone. As of earlier, it's going to be interesting to see if they can hold back their blatant misogyny.
I think Kamala Harris needs to challenge Donald Trump to a golf game and a debate. Because remember, he just challenged Biden to a debate and a golf game. I think she should come out and be like, I take that challenge. Let's go. It doesn't matter if she wins or not. It's just the fact that he would probably wouldn't take it. He would probably back out, and that would be the best thing ever.
Hinged, I expect him to say incredibly insulting, misogynistic stuff over the next 3 months. It's going to
Oh
be
yeah.
really funny to watch if he can control himself and keep his messaging such that it doesn't disincentivize all women from voting for him.
Right? Yeah, because you know the racism and the misogyny is about to come out hard on the Republican side. They're about to start saying some dumbass crap. I've already seen it in comments and stuff. There's a new Midas Touch ad for Harris. Haven't seen that yet, but I'm sure it's good. Midas Touch has been putting out some good ads. I just think that I think she's gonna win. I really think that Harris will win as if everybody stays out of, as long as they stop the infighting. But if they have a contested convention, they better pick the right person, because I just don't see how that doesn't turn out terrible. Because like, there's no way you replace her at the top of the ticket without it looking like just a racist pick. Like if you replace her with some white dude, then you're just saying that you don't think a black woman can lead, and that's just a terrible optics. Like, and that's exactly what they're going to run on.
Position would actually help her. So I think if like a candidate sort of half-heartedly threw his hat in the race or her hat in the race, right? And the Democrats were like, we're going to schedule 3 debates over the course of the next couple of weeks, right? Those debates would be heavily watched. It would allow Kamala to define herself, and it would be someone who doesn't expect to win. You know what I mean? Like, not a serious challenge.
Yeah, like if they got somebody who actually was there to lose, that's a brilliant plan. Because then it gives her a chance to get her message out and distinguish herself from Biden. And then whoever she debates against, they should pick her as that person as the VP. Like, if Harris had a debate, say with, say Gretchen Whitmer and Andy Bashir, right? Then whichever one of them seemed to do the best against her, even though she wins the debate, put them down as the VP, and you kind of like unite the party. Harris has been doing good though. Her last couple speeches that I've watched have been phenomenal, like way better than I was expecting.
Debate is such like Americans will watch a debate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, a false competition that would allow that would be amazing.
Right. She
Being
raised
up to the
46
Democratic
million.
National.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be up to the DNC delegates, but I don't think they're gonna go with anybody but her. Like, and like they said, they raised $46.7 million in 5 hours. I mean, you're not giving that money to anybody else. And I've seen that Democrats are excited. People are excited that Biden's gone. And
So
just that
badly for
energy
him.
is going to help. That I wouldn't be surprised if the next poll that comes out has Kamala up 10 points.
Didn't take the time to address the American public live on television.
Right. The DNC delegate thing will be very interesting. Like the way it works is, I think there's 4,400 delegates total. 3,900 of them are already pledged to Biden, but basically, like they're gonna decide who wins and who loses.
One. To develop themselves well. Like I used to think Gavin Newsom would, because he is really charming. But with only 8 weeks left, it's difficult to establish a national presence. Even a governor from any of the states, like they're not known outside of their own state.
Yeah.
It's Ron DeSantis.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna get off here for now. I'm getting really tired. Falling asleep sitting here. It's been interesting, and we'll see what happens next week. And hopefully, no other Democrats come out, and it's not like a big ugly fight. Or if it is, it's like you said, they just hold a couple of debates, and they can put Kamala up front, and she'll actually win. But we'll see what happens. This is gonna be a crazy couple of months, man.
Okay.
I'll talk to you guys all next week. I'll try to take a nap next Sunday. Maybe I'll be more awake. I'm supposed to interview that guy tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes, if it still comes through. But thanks for watching, everybody. Good night.